Wait, Qelmucw, Scotland. I'm Robert Phillips, in case you don't know me. I'm from Chickaskin and Canham Lake. I got to remember now it's Chickaskin First Nation, not Canham Lake Indian Band. And so very happy to be here. I know that I'm basically giving like the 15-minute warning. And there was a really important message that I have to give right away. And that is, if you don't have a ticket, you're not going to win any prizes. Okay? If you don't, I'll repeat that. If you don't have a ticket, you're not going to win any prizes. I heard there's a brand new car up. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. It's a truck, but hey, you're going to have to make the payments. You can have my truck right out there, but you have to make payments. I'll even give you the family rate, which is $5,000 more. But anyway, just to let you know, in order to get a ticket, and I'll say this a couple more times throughout the morning, in order to get a ticket, you got to register. So the registration booth is out there. Someone might, if you need particular directions, let us know. But I understand because I came in through the back door. Now, don't judge me for coming in through the back door. Okay? So I haven't even come through the front door yet. Even last night when we're here, I came through the back door. So I don't know. Maybe that says something about my character. I have no idea. So anyway, just to let you know, I'm giving a bit of a warning. And then as well, we're going to start up around 10 a.m. As soon as we can.
White vergoede, aliate genoeg gentlemen spoelt en 12 stem Qelmucw geassisteerd in 2024 in Tekke as met Downman as beperking slechte AM. Segmentum gaat eerst naar OPEX als natuurlijkste minutes. Mentia til Qelmucw I just repeated what he said in Secwepemc.
Okay, and anybody who knows me, of course, knows that I can do Elvis. Maybe not well, but I can do Elvis. And of course, I always try to joke around, so my jokes sometimes are met very well by, in general, our citizens, not very well by Chief and Council. Just joking. They're already booing me over there now already. So, okay, so just to let you know, I'm looking through the program here, and of course, we got seating for the elders. The washrooms, again, everything's pretty much out there. If you go through the back door, anyway, I wouldn't advise doing that part. And, you know, find out where all the washrooms are. And if you got any questions, especially for the elders, just let us know, okay? Come up and we'll try to figure something out. If you need any help or anything, again, please don't hesitate to ask. And if there's anything in the presentations, of course, that brings up the trauma and intergenerational trauma because of everything that we've been through for the last 150 years, don't keep it to yourself, okay? You know, you have a lot of family, a lot of friends there, and please talk to us, and of course we will make sure that you will get the help that is necessary, or, you know, just talk it through. So we understand that, we feel it, and so we're certainly here to make sure that you have an enjoyable next couple of days. And the other thing that I really wanted to mention is that we treat each other with respect, okay? So a lot of times I do meetings, I usually get called into meetings where, you know, I go to the island, I go up north, and I'm starting to find out I get called to these meetings when there's something on the go. And I always say, that we treat each other with respect. A lot of the disrespect that we display and jealousies and everything of that nature has been learned in the last 150 years. We never treated people negatively or bad or in any way. We always came together as families. And I really wanted to emphasize that. That's what's truly in our blood. That's truly who we are as a people. And so please respect the people around you. Please respect the presenters and the speakers. Please respect the leadership because they're just giving a message that needs to be given. And we're trying to be as informative as possible. I don't know if you can say all that, but anyway, give it a shot.
You eat slats.
What he says. Okay, so I got to keep an eye on the time as well. Like I said, we're going to start at 10. There's also display tables that are out there. And of course, please visit the display tables. And I know there was some more people that came in, and you will need a ticket and you will need to register for prizes. I've already talked to the organizers, and I've included another opportunity, which will be not only just before lunch for prizes, but right after lunch. So we're going to have to squeeze that in. And I say that because we want people to stick around not only for lunch, but more importantly, to come back after lunch. And I understand there's been more prizes that have been coming in. More vehicles, of course, with liens against them. No, just kidding. And of course, that's really important that we have to do this. So we're going to start at 10 a.m. I'm going to give a little opportunity before Hatsul and the drummers and singers come up. And also Penny Phillips will be giving the opening. And certainly acknowledge Williams Lake First Nation and the territories, and acknowledge Hatsul, who is hosting, and as well as any chief and council that are out there and leadership, we give acknowledge to as well. Okay, so I'm going to leave the podium for a little bit, give you an opportunity to have a final chats before we begin at 10 a.m. Qelmucw, thank you. Okay, I had a good 2-minute break, and as you know, I don't mind getting in front of the microphone if you know me well. But just to let you know, we're going to ask Fran to come up, and Fran she's not the chairperson of the prizes and the winnings, but she's the spokesperson now. So this is a very important person. This is the one that's going to be leading the prizes. So Fran, I'd like for you to come up, introduce yourself, and then have a few words.
Yeah. Qelmucw, Francis Winsquest. I'm from Williams Lake First Nation. My mom is Virginia Gilbert. And I just recently lost my dad. His name was Frank Supernault. He was from Sucker Creek, Alberta. And I think he was about 18 or 20 years old when he came over to BC. And it didn't take long for him to meet my mom. And if you ever have heard a romance story, that was a romantic story. And I cherish it. It's a pleasure to welcome everyone to this year's meeting, which we hope will bring forward the ideas, culture, and language that needed to move the treaty process forward. For our part in the treaty department, we produce information for members year-round. That includes meeting with members who live away, supporting the nations, and whatever communication resources they require, and publishing the L'Chiam on the first day of every season. This event, the Citizens Assembly, is one of 4 that are mandated by the NStQ Leadership Council to inform not only the members who live away, but any members who are looking for information on the treaty process and an update on our negotiations. Part of the work that will be done during the next 2 days includes careful consideration of the models of governance going forward. It has been the focus of our work in treaty communications for much of the last 6 months. I'm very happy to be with you today as part of the prize committee for 2024. I'd like to acknowledge our list of contributors and show you some of the gifts and prizes that we will be giving away. We'll show you the gifts at a little bit of a later point. We do have them organized. We just have not brought them out of the room yet. Our first giveaway will be coming up at the end of the morning and after lunch. And then we will have another draw at the end of the day, and the same for tomorrow. All of us are grateful for supporting to bring together all of the wonderful prizes, and wish all of you the best of luck throughout the year. Thank you. Qelmucw.
Yeah, our condolences, Fran. I know that's not easy. So our prayers and thoughts go out to you and our family. And Qelmucw, and thank you for coming up and introducing. As I mentioned, she's not the chairperson of the committee. She's the spokesperson. So just joking, all joking aside. So now I would like to introduce the Hatsu drummers and singers, and afterwards we'll do the prayer, if that's okay with Penny. So, because I know they've been waiting, they've been warming up their drums last night, and they've been warming up their drums this morning. So it looks like they're revving, they're like a Chevy Camaro. They're ready to roll. So we'll get the drummers start off in a good way.
Buen día, Penpulinum, de Hatsus, Chinum, Sec, Paconchistos.
Kukpi7, thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move this right along, and I'm going to ask Penny. Penny, where's Penny Phillips? Ask Penny to come on up if she don't mind, and say the opening prayer. And as she's coming up, just to let you know, the outreach liaisons, Rick and Mike. Rick, Mike, they're here as well for those that maybe are living away from home. So just to let you know that they're there for you as well.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the NST, or the Citizen Assembly, and I'd like to thank everyone for coming. And I'd like to say prayers for those that are traveling and those that do need food and support out there. And also I'd like to congratulate the children on their drumming. And also all the elders that travel far and wide. And the sign language I love. I love reading from my cousin Nikki. So she's come a long ways. And I just, once again, I'd like to look around and say I'm happy to see all the smiles. Really good to see everybody smiling this morning. I'd just like to say a quick prayer before I go. For today, I have a dear sister out there that's going on beyond. I'd just like to say the serenity prayer for her. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Penny. Kukpi7, appreciate it very much. And understanding, of course, family does come first, and that's what it's all about. Okay, so here we are. We're only 5 minutes behind schedule. That's not bad. That's not bad, I must say. So again, as part of the Citizens Forum, we asked the leadership, of course, to come on up. And the first we have Kukpi Rhonda Phillips, so please come on up and give her a warm welcome, everybody.
Thank you, Robert. It's good to have some good jokes. So, good morning, everybody. My name is Rhonda Phillips, Kukpi of Haldance First Nation. My parents are John Phillips Sr. and late Dorothy Phillips, nee Charlie Boy of Haldance and Sidaldale. I was born and raised in Haldance, down in Soda Creek. I have 4 siblings, and I'm a parent of 3. I have 3 grandsons. Proud to be a grandmother. Still waiting for my granddaughter, though. So on behalf of Haldance First Nation, I just want to acknowledge that we're on the unceded and surrendered territory of Williams Lake First Nation and Secwepemc. And I want to thank my auntie, Penny Phillips, for the prayer this morning and the welcoming. I want to acknowledge the youth that have come up and did the drumming and singing. Ashley and Keegan, they worked hard this year to encourage them to be up here. It takes a lot of courage to come up and sing in front of everybody. So I'm proud of each of them. It's always it sets the tone for any event, and it really opens us up in a really good way. So this next couple days are going to be filled with a lot of treaty information, a lot of speakers. And it's a time for all of you to be able to get to know our treaty teams, get to know our leadership, get to know the people that are working within our communities, and have the questions to be able to come up and just approach any one of us and have a good conversation. It's also a great time to get together and to visit, have some laughs, share some stories. So tomorrow is going to be an important day because we'll be talking about our governance structure and what that's going to look like. what we want to see. So I want to thank the Treaty Society and the Tribal Council, along with our treaty teams and the staff from all of our communities for preparing for these next couple of days and getting everything ready so that we can share some information with you. I want to recognize and thank our NStQ members who have come near and far, as well as our guests who have joined us here today. I just want to welcome everybody. Qelmucw, thank you.
For generations, our people thrived in harmony with nature. We had everything we needed to survive. Trading with other tribes has been long documented in our oral stories. Evidence in the form of artifacts supports those oral stories.
We took only what we needed and taught by our elders that if we took care of the land and the waters, they would take care of us.
Our ancestors were hunter and gatherers, centered around family groups that focused on the abundance of the natural economy. Hunting, fishing, and harvesting of berries, medicines, and other plants continue this day. Our people have always respected Mother Earth, ensuring that our impact on the land is minimal.
Our Kukpi in the late 1800s made sure to secure the important fishing spots as part of our reservation. The NStQ is more than just a body of water that runs by our community. For generations, we have relied on the salmon's annual return and honoring its importance in our lives. Our people's skill in preserving the salmon saved the newcomers when they had no food of their own. This included Simon Fraser, who wrote in his diary inserts of how hospitable the Qelmucw chief had been in his journey down to the Fraser. The traditional name of our village, which we have reclaimed, is Qelmucw. It is 1 mile squared and was expected to provide for all of our needs as a community. It didn't. In the 1930s, we managed to regain some of our territory, which is now known as Deep Creek, or Qelmucw.
Our people are resilient. Even though we were badly bent, we were never completely broken. We knew who we were according to our own laws, and we started to rebuild.
Who are we? Today, our community members come from 8 major families. We have struggled, worked together, and supported each other with the limited resources we had. And in that process, we became stronger. We are a people who have always loved our territory and all that it provided. And even though some of our members are spread out, Qelmucw is in our hearts and will always be our home.
Our Qelmucw will grow up to be proud of who they are and will continue to carry on the teachings that have sustained us for thousands of years. This is not a new world to our people. It is as old as any country on earth. Our sacred lands are here, and we will fight to sustain it. Historically, there's always been a beautiful natural economy thriving on the land and in the water. But it's facing challenges due to climate change and colonialism. And Secwepemc teaches us that treating the land and sky with respect is crucial, as they have a profound impact on our well-being. It's a reminder of the intricate connections within our ecosystem. By nurturing nature, we nurture ourselves, fostering a harmonious coexistence.
NStQ Kukpi7 that hide the stamina way.
Yes, that was a very beautiful, very interesting short video. And it was 5 minutes packed with a lot of punch, of course, you know, and it really touches the heart when we see such a video, and encourage, of course, for our peoples to continue to tell the stories that we have, that we've had for millennia, for thousands and thousands of years. So with that, we're also going to ask the Chief Phillips to come right back up, and not even giving you a break from what I understand. So, and she'll be doing the first presentation.
Sila maspluk kwespet banya pin Kukpi7 Kukpi de stamkulchum gelstetum pin Hatsusum me hilentels nes yadam huluch me alchaitels Kukpi Hatsus Kukpi Randa Phillips.
Thought there was introductions of our guests, but just kidding. Robert. So welcome everybody. Oh, I moved it. Huh? Lori just wanted to share that we're like dandelions. We're hard to get rid of. That was a beautiful video. Just watching it just inspires me to be up here. You know, I grew up down in Hatsuth and walked down the river many times. You know, going down fishing by ourselves, or it was pretty scary at night. But we did it. There was always a group of us kids, or we'd be going down with our aunties. Auntie Penny was one of them, always leading us pack of kids together, falling asleep on those rocks. You know, the river always just calmed me. It was a place for me to go to get grounded and to find myself again. I used to go berry picking up in Blue Lake and go swimming. I see many of my family members here, Jada, Minnie, Ralph. We did a lot of things. My parents brought us to do a lot of gathering and harvesting, and I remember those days dearly. Very much is in my heart, and that's why I'm able to stand up here today and be able to speak. You know, some of my dear friends growing up I can see out there. It's just amazing. 5 years ago, I didn't think that I would be up here. Didn't think that I would be Kukpi. You know, I struggled. I've dealt with a lot of trauma in my life. Fell down that rabbit hole of addictions. You know, I almost found myself homeless. I was out there couch surfing, and I would go and visit my husband down on the streets of Edmonton. And I didn't think that I would find hope, that I would find the courage to come back and to be here. You know, my dad always told me that his grandmother told him that you'll always come back no matter what, because this land is in your blood. That, you know, we come back either visiting, or we move back home, or we come back in a box. And I always thought that to be morbid, but it's true. We've always been here. We've always, you know, thrived on the land. That's what connects us. We have familial ties in all of our communities, and that gives us strength. kind of went a little bit off here, but my grandparents are the late Isidore Phillips and Margaret Phillips, knee sellers of Hatsuth and Hazel Gee. My dad was custom adopted. My paternal grandparents are late Casimir Lulawa and late Justine Charlie Boy of Tsidaldel, Honeyguatine and Tsidaldel. And my mother was also raised by her stepfather, Felix Marianne. I'm proud to be Secwepemc and Celeste, and proud to be standing up here today and speaking in front of all of you. I was elected as Kukpi in March of 2023 of last year, and it has been an eventful year, to say the least. It's been quite a journey. I have learned a lot, and I'm still learning. You know, there's things that come to us that we're not always allowed to share because of confidentiality and privacy and all of that. But we're elected and we're here to do the work for the people, for the whole, not just for individuals. And when I come up and I speak on the knowledge that I have, the history that I have, the experiences that I've lived through in my life. When I go out and I speak on behalf of our community, I always remember my story, remember the story of my family, the journey of how we got here. So I've had the opportunity to work along some great leaders that are on this side of the room. You know, I'm blessed to have some great conversations. You know, many of them are with a lot of the NStQ members that are here today and some of our guests. Our communities have faced many losses this past year. You know, and I want to take a moment to remember those who have passed on to the spirit world, those who have had an impact in our lives and those who have had an impact in our families and within our communities. So if we could just take a moment of silence to remember them and honor them, I'd appreciate that. Thank you. I raise my hands up to each of you to be able to take that time to think about those who have gone on before us, to honor them in such a good way. They've taught us great many things. You know, they're important in our lives. They're important in the journey that we're on and fighting for what is rightfully ours, to be able to move towards self-government and self-determination. We got to remember that people that are with us on this journey, the ones that are beside us. You know, it's important to always remember that. My sister got me this shirt. It says, never look down on another native unless you're admiring their moccasins. And that's something that we need to truly remember. We all have a story, and we may not like what one another has to say, but it's with, you know, we take it with a grain of salt, and everybody is important, everybody's voice is important, and we need to acknowledge one another and say, thank you, I appreciate you for being here with me. So, you know, I want to acknowledge the families and members who are grieving, each of the communities, with the members that we have lost. You know, they had an important part in our life. I've been thinking about what it means to be Secwepemc, and when I think about that, I think about the roles that we find ourselves in. We forget who we are, and we forget that we're important too, that each and every one of you here is important. We all have a story to tell, and the journey that we've been on has not been an easy one, but we're still here to tell it and to share it with one another. You know, this video was truly inspiring to me. I value the days that I get to get out there on the land, to get out there and be with my dad, to listen to the stories that he has to tell. Unfortunately, he was unable to make it here today. I tried to encourage him, but he can be stubborn, and he'd rather be at home and watching the TV than being around people, I guess. He has his moments, but I always tell him every day that what he has to share, he's valuable, because sometimes they tend to forget how valuable they are, elders. You know, the stories, the life journey that they've been on. I didn't realize it until now that I'm a grandmother and my kids are going through their journeys and the struggles that they have. They don't like listening to me, and I remember that's how I was with my parents. I never liked listening to them either. But they do have very valuable lessons. When I first started out on this journey, I came in quite green. I learned quite quickly that the system that we're working under is not fair. It has many flaws. It's a system that was created by the government, and and our treaty team here is fighting hard. They're out there trying to make changes, and it's not easy to be sitting there across the table negotiating with people that don't want to listen. Over the last year, I've been really reflecting on what it means to be a leader in my community. I'm proud to be from Hatsuth, proud to have grown up in Soda Creek. I've learned from my parents and my aunts and uncles, like I mentioned earlier, and the many elders over the years, and even from the kids. I learn a lot from them. The kindness that they have. They sit there, they have no judgments. They're just so free. And that's what we need to remember, to be like them, to be more like them, especially when we want to move forward. That's important. I've been faced with many challenges over the years. Like I said, I've experienced a lot of trauma, suffered with addictions, and faced many losses. And, one of the greatest loss for me was my mother, and that's what that drove me to the addictions that I was in. She was Kukpi of Hatsuth for a number of years. There are many days that I wish she was still here with us so I could ask her, how the heck did you do it? Because it can be really tough coming home at the end of the day with some of the things that we face as leaders. It can be a struggle. We're trying to do things for the whole and making sure that we're treating everybody fairly, and it's tough for others to see that. So, I really think this is a great presentation of all of our past NStQ leaders, all the ones who have got us to this point today. I know 30 years seems like a long time to be in a treaty. My youngest is 29, so, but we're still moving forward, and that's a good thing. As I watched my mother lead with courage and no fear, my father always tells me, though, every now and again, he always tells me, Beb, you need to run away. You need to just go and take some time for yourself. He tells me that there was many nights my mom had sleepless nights, and she would come home in tears. And those are the times that I've never seen, right? Like you always think that leaders are up here and they're strong and all of this stuff, but it is really tough to do this journey, to be on this journey. But we have all of you to stand up there, be out there supporting us, and that's what's really important. And I'm blessed to have the other Kukpi here. with me, and I learn a lot from each of them, and they provide me with support as well. And you know, I think about when my mom was a leader, she had her team of NStQ leaders who she relied on. And they were in the early days where they were negotiating right at the table with the governments. And they did so as a united and together. And that's what's really important. And, you know, when we meet at the leadership tables with our fellow Kukpi and our, I can't say council in Secwepemc, so I'm just going to say council members. But we do it together, we do it with United Front. And that's really important, to be able to collaborate and work together. We've been faced with quite a bit of changes these past few years, and with change comes with uncertainty and fear. However, change is inevitable. Change is for the good. We've experienced a lot of growing pains, but we've also seen a lot of successes in our own communities. We're all autonomous in our own right, but we have one common goal, and that's self-determination and self-government. And that's why we're here today, is that we can share what the past year has been like in our treaty process, and that we can share what the next year is going to look like. So we're at the table, continuing to open the doors to create a future that brings certainty, equality, and the opportunity to keep moving forward. We do this work for our future generations. I stand up here and I do this for my grandchildren and their children. You know? To be Secwepemc is to be connected with one another, to our families and visitors alike, to be connected with the land and with our people, bringing back culture, traditions, and our language for our future generations to continue to strive and be successful. Being proud to shout, I am Secwepemc. I'm inspired every day of the resilience and fight that each of us has. We're still here, and we're here to stay. My father always told me about, I already shared that part. Sorry. Anyways, I'm just pleased to be up here. And I really am looking forward to listening to all the speakers this week, and I'm looking forward to being able to come and visit with any one of you. I hope that we can have a good conversation, and yes, just Qelmucw, welcome, thank you. And here you go, Robert.
I surprised her a bit because we were supposed to do some acknowledgements, and I got her up here, so that's what kind of her start. But boy, certainly, again, another heartfelt presentation, because again, our stories and our lives, and it begins, I always say, with our heart and ourselves, and then the growth that we have, and then of course with family, friends, and our nation, our communities, and then eventually to everybody surrounding us. And we can't have great leaders without previous great leaders. And so part of this, I'm just going to shortly call out, if you've been a Kukpi or chief or council, you don't have to stand up, but you could stand up, or you can give a wave. Anyway, I just wanted to acknowledge, because there's some people that were chief and council, that were Kukpi. I see Roy. I seen Roy come in. Roy's over. Roy's here. Yeah. Again, thank you. Thank you for the leadership that was provided. And I think it's so important that we know our leaders, and that, again, as you go out and be part of that chief and council, that it's not easy doing so. And it doesn't matter if it's 1 term, 4 terms, it doesn't matter. Because you're representing our community members, you're representing our First Nation, you're representing our nations. whether it's here at the local, regional, provincial, national, international. And it all starts with that leadership. And of course, as Rhonda reminded us, you know, it takes those first steps, and you've been through a lot, and you continue to do so. So I really acknowledge all the hard work that you've done. And I know it's not easy being a leader. And I know that, you know, putting yourself out there, there's always a story that you have. And we thank you from the bottom of our heart. So let's give all our leadership again another applause. Thank you, Qelmucw. Okay, so I always go off script a little bit, so I surprised her by putting it after her, but she acknowledged as well the presentation, so I thought it was important that I do that now. We were going to do something a little bit later on. I do also acknowledge some of the local regional government representatives that are here, so, you know, again, please wave your hand, and then we can always go over and say hello. So, with myself, it's been a while since I've been back home. And so a lot of times now I'm starting to, I don't know if it's old age or what, but I'm starting to forget names now. So anyway, I was never good at names, and now it's getting even worse as I get older that I'm forgetting. So anyway, that's why I write everything down on my phone or whatever. But of course, one person I can't forget is Willie. And Willie, Kukpi Willie, certainly I've seen him in action. I've seen him in a couple doing the powwow, and of course I've seen him as well in action in terms of whatever it's the specific claims work, and again acknowledging council that are here. I've seen Chris as well, but as well some of the talks and discussions that he's had and about his community and his nation, and he's very well versed, and of course a pleasure to see him again and invite him up. I think we have Gabriel, he's going to give you a quick introduction to show respect.
Elia, met Lechayachtels, Kukpi7, Willie Celeste.
Weho Huayda and Jechqua Willie Sellers Qukpi7, NStQ. Note to self, make sure that I'm looking over my shoulder so I know when Robert is seeing me in action. I'd like to welcome you to the traditional territory of the Williams Lake First Nation. I'd like to welcome you to Northern Secwepemc. And it is always an honor for our leadership to get up here and be a part of these gatherings in a good way. We had that great introduction from Qukpi Rhonda, the host of this year's Citizens Assembly. You know, one thing that we need to start really looking at as we build the infrastructure in our communities is starting to build big enough buildings to house assemblies like this in our communities. You know, when we start talking about the journey of NStQ and the Northern Secwepemc and being a part of this treaty process for the last 30 years, we really start to think about the movement and the barriers that were broken down by previous leaderships. I think it's very important that we bring up, you know, just how important previous leadership has been to our journey as present-day leaders, as Qukpis, as counselors, as elders, as community members, because the journey has gotten so much easier as we've gone along on this path of self-governance, of discussions around reconciliation and economic reconciliation, and discussions 30 years ago around building facilities in our community. You know, they weren't a reality, and they were only a reality through direct action and through perseverance of those leaders and those community members, compared to now, where we're talking about successful businesses, where we're talking about economic development, corporations, and success. And it's not out of the realm of possibilities that those things are going to continue to happen within the next 5 years, within the next 10 years, within the next 20 years, within this generation. I mean, we talk about the journey that we've been on, and Rhonda was touching on hers, and I can tell you right now that there was no way in my wildest dreams that the Williams Lake First Nation would be one of the biggest cannabis dealers in the Caribou-Chilcotin like we are now. But that is a form of self-governance. That is a form of exercising our rights and title over our traditional territory and holding up historically what was a medicine in our community. When I talk about cannabis, we make jokes, but we have 5 retail stores in the province of British Columbia. We're continuing to build out our retail space. We have a cultivation facility, and we employ over 40 people, the majority of which are Indigenous, and a big chunk, a big percentage, are band members of WLFN. And we look deep inside our communities and the successes that we continue to see and celebrate. You know, there is more and more of those stories coming to fruition. And it's because, touching back again on where our leaders were and how they fought so hard and how they've made it easier for us for those things to happen. And I am always forever grateful for previous leadership. You make time for them, whether it's good or bad. You know, that constructive criticism is very key to the success of who we are as Secwepemc, who we are as Indigenous, who we are as present-day leaders. And I can't help but continue to be inspired. We see the success on the business side at WLFN. We continue to move along this process, this modern-day treaty with NStQ and the Northern Secwepemc. But when we start seeing videos that were produced earlier of the beauty of our traditional territory, we really start to get a better understanding of what is important to the healing of our communities, to the balance of our communities, and really the balance of who we are as Indigenous people. We can be very successful, like we are at WLFN, but we are not going to be successful as a community without making sure that we prioritize and hold up the importance of getting out on the land. We prioritize and hold up our language, our ceremony, our culture. And, you know, we continue to make great progress on all of these fronts at WLFN. We continue to see great progress in Secwepemc and Indigenous communities across, you know, our gorgeous territories. But one thing that we're quick to know is that there is still a lot of work to be done. And whether it's continuing to hold up and celebrate that culture, that language, and that ceremony, celebrate and push for the success of our businesses and our ventures and our agreements, or just making sure that we acknowledge the importance of standing together and standing beside each other. And when we stand beside each other, I don't mean just Indigenous people, but standing beside each other with our non-Indigenous allies as well. I'm quick to note, again, that we welcome the non-Indigenous population in our community because we know that our vendors especially love your money. Our elders love it when you buy our traditional artisans' works, because that is the economy that we live in. Historically, we would trade salmon and we would trade minerals and malaman, and we would celebrate, again, the territory and the lands and also celebrate other territories. But, you know, in this modern day and age, trying to find this balance of what that looks like, we'd never want to look down on anybody trying to make a living and provide for their family. And that is just as important as achieving governance. That's really a big part of what governance is celebrating those victories, holding up that work, and just really making sure that when we look into future generations, that we are a self-sustaining, self-reliant community that doesn't have to rely on the federal government, that doesn't have to rely on the provincial government. We have everything that we need right here in our communities. You know, there are a number of different routes that we can achieve that in. You know, the litigation landscape has continued to change in, as Councillor Chris Wycott would say, Indigenous country. He really gets angry when I say Indian country. Thank you for that lesson, Chris. But I see him over there looking at me. Thank you for coming today, Chris. When we talk about this journey that we've been in this treaty process and trying to achieve this self-government agreement, Chris has been, our rock, our anchor in making sure that we have that voice and we have that seat at the table, and the work is continuing to be done. I stand up here as the chief and as the representative of our council, as one voted at our council table, but it's the individuals that are in this room, like Chris, both of the Chris's. We have our communication Chris here as well, Yvonne, Robert, Gord, just to name a few, that are actually getting that work done at the table. We can push as hard as we can politically as leaders, but it's the individuals that are doing the work that are really making the difference, and we have to really hold them up and applaud them in gathering us today in such a good way. But as that litigation, that landscape has continued to change, and there's become a ton of alternatives, and we've got this foothold in this voice at the provincial and at the federal level. Now is a time that we need to not only hold up that legacy, but continue to keep our foot on the pedal, and we need to continue to, take advantage of having that voice in that seat at the table, so that we can again celebrate the history and legacy of our previous leaders in our communities, and getting to where we need to be, which is finding that balance, achieving that healing, breaking that generational cycle, holding up those survivors and those ancestors and what they fought so hard for, and again, becoming a self-sustaining, self-sufficient First Nation, so that our generation can continue to see the change for generations and generations to come. I don't want to take too much of your time. Very proud to be up here, proud of the work that's been done. And again, quick to acknowledge that there's still a lot of work to do, so let's keep doing that work. Qelmucw Nama Relations.
Kukpi, and the action part was at the powwow grounds. I never really had a chance to shoot and score on him because he was always in the A division, I was in the B division. Then eventually, I got over 35 and I started doing the seniors. And of course, much too young for me to actually do my razzle-dazzle out on the ice, all joking aside, just kidding. But it says here, and those of you that have skated with me know that that's not possible. Anyway, it says here, how the leader does things. Everyone is treated the same. The leader looks at his or her own experiences. Kukpi, Rhonda reminded us of that. Does things honestly. Decides things with the community in mind. And again, you brought up some of the projects that are underway. Decides things with the future generations in mind. So we acknowledged our elders, our leadership, we acknowledge the community members, we acknowledge our youth, our babies, and especially future generations to come, and all those ancestors who are here right now, right beside us in this room, guiding us, whether we know it or not. So I just wanted to say a few words before we go on break. I'm going to give you an extended 15. They said 10 minutes. I said, let's do 15. Let's do 15. They deserve 15. So we're going to do a 15-minute break. And you want to say a few words, please?
Masalt the ubikste minutes.
Let's give him a hand, ladies and gentlemen, because yeah. And I've always said this, it is our language speakers, not only our cultural and spiritual advisors, but it is our language speakers that we need to hold up. They are the ones that, of course, brings everything together for us. And as we, again, do this work, it's very much appreciated. So let's give them a hand, please. Qelmucw. Okay, for those of you that are thinking about making a run for it, don't forget just before lunch, that's when the prize is. If you don't have your ticket, you will not get a prize. Please go register for those that did not. And I'm sure within the next 10 or 15 minutes, if I forgot anything, the team's going to let me know. And of course, if there's anything, just let us know if there's any way we can help. We'll try our best. So let's take our 15-minute break. Qelmucw. Thank you, everybody.
stay a bit longer.
Stay forever. Okay, so we're going to have to start up again, give a 5-minute warning. So let the crowd know that that are out there. I know we're starting to go into 20-minute break now. So we got let the crowd know we can't get a drummer go down the hallway drumming to let everybody know to come back because I guess there's classes going on. So we don't want to do that. So we're going to start up again in about 5 minutes.
met Qelmucw sa salat chilks de minutes met Qelmucw skak nementum de skak lul mentum.
Okay, we're going to start up soon. I know everybody is chit-chatting. I know there's a lot of people that, so I know now I'm going to just make the next break 10 minutes. That's it. Like, you know, you guys just ran with it. And now you're making it a 20-minute break. Going to try for a half an hour. It's like, wow. And I'm trying to be a good guy up here. Just trying. Yeah, so we need the Kukpis to come back, and we'll start. Oh, look, here comes one Kukpi, two Kukpi. So, Marilyn, I don't know how comfortable you feel with speaking as people are coming in, but I'll give it a few more minutes, and please, if you know your family members out there, have them, let them know that they should come back. Usually we have like a drummer go down and drum everybody back, but like I said, there's classes going on, so we're not allowed to do that. That was my idea. Get one of the drummers to go down the hallway, boom, 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 and get them back. But I see everybody's coming back, so text them, tell them. And I know what I'm going to do next time. There's going to be prizes right after the break this afternoon. I'm opening it up. Going to get the nod from Fran. Is that okay? Oh, yeah, okay, here you go. Here I am giving out prizes left, right, and straight. And thinking I'm the chairperson of this committee now. You guys come talk to me. You need a prize? You want to buy a prize? 50% off. So I don't know if you can interpret all that. He's not supposed to interpret everything. I'm just joking. So, bingo, yeah. It reminds me of a song, Bingo in Another World is all I ever hear. Anyway, I won't start singing that song. People are like, what's Another World? Oh, that used to be a good soap opera a long time ago. We used to rush home just to watch it. Yeah, there you go. Or The Edge of Night. Yeah, you remember that one? The Edge of Night. Yeah, that's the good ones. Not like the shows nowadays online. No, that's good soap operas. I don't know if we have a word for soap opera. I'm looking, he's thinking now. Yeah. So it is true though, like how quickly you forget names and forget your language and all of those things. So, you know, there's an app that's out there, of course, that we can use so to learn our language too, even if it's just simple words. Because I used to know a lot more of the language before I left in 2007. I noticed I forgot a lot of the words. But one word I never forgot, sklout. Sklout. I don't know why. It probably said something about me, I guess. I don't know. What is that one? Check 1, 2. Where's my check? Jeez. Chief and Counsel is going to kick me out pretty soon. So, okay, so I'm going to give Marilyn a couple more minutes, Marilyn, then we're going to introduce you in a proper way. And, you know, again, it's good to see people like Marilyn because of her experience and, you know, being on council and Chief Kukpi. And again, it just says something, you know, in terms of our communities, the vast knowledge of wealth of knowledge that we have and experiences. It's so important because we have, you know, a lot of young people that are showing up. And I know that it's really important that we call upon our leadership. And this is a big difference than back in the days when I used to be chief negotiator and self-government director, because I used to be up here just like I'm doing now, doing all the talking. And so I always feel that hook now, like, you know, that hook, time to get off the stage. And that's good. That's good that the leadership are presenting and speaking. They've been doing it for a long time now. And I think that's so important. So I'm going to let the language speaker have his say and then introduce and welcome, of course, our Kukpi for being here.
Looking track se kwam special kwam met Kukpi7 to middels Kukpi7 Haldance Maryland Camille.
Boy, Robert, this is kind of, maybe I'll take it off. I'll just hold it. Wait to hide up, Maryland Camille Rinsquest, Qelmucw. It's an honor to be speaking to the NStQ Citizens Assembly. I want to acknowledge my parents, the late Philip Camille, Clara Camille. My paats are Francis Camille and Noel Camille, Clarence McFadden, Sam Saul John. My kids are Agnes Celeste, Eliza Michoud, Sarah Michoud, and Celestine Saul John and Celestine Louis. My family tree building is a work in process. I want to recognize Chief Willie in the Williams Lake Traditional Territory. I want to thank Rhonda for the opening comments. You know, I was late. I was very surprised that we were on time. I got a late start this morning driving from Dog. I should have stayed last night, but I'm learning. I don't drive as fast as I used to. So, you know, I want to acknowledge all of the NStQ citizens that are here today, and probably we're here every year, because without you, all the hard work of our treaty team, our leadership, it wouldn't be acknowledged. By you showing up here, it's very acknowledging for the hard work the leaders do on your behalf, as well as the staff. I want to acknowledge the local leaders that are here today. You don't have to be, but you are here, and that's what it's all about. I was just talking to one of the city councilors, I already forgot her name, and you know, we need to stay in touch, because that's how we're going to move forward as Northern Secwepemc, by working with our other local governments, because most of our people live off reserve. So I think NStQ's been doing a good job with that, connecting with Williams Lake City. I want to acknowledge my fellow Kukpis. You know, in addition to our responsibilities of our communities, we also have the responsibilities of the NSTC, NStQ, and, you know, just the oversight of it. And, you know, all three inspire me with the work that they do on top of the NStQ work. So I also want to acknowledge the former leaders in the room. You know, I've done it before at the Citizens Assembly a couple of years ago, I think in 100 Mile, and how they were my mentors all through the years. Like, they all taught me something. I look at my uncle, Eric Archie, he was a chief back in the day, Chief Roy Christopher, Agnes Snow. These four names were brought up to us the other day and said, you know, too bad we couldn't go back to the leadership style of Antoine Archie, Agnes Snow, Rhonda's mom, I forgot, I drew a blank here, and Rick Gilbert, you know. And when I heard those names, all the things I learned from them came up. You know, I'll start with Agnes. She wasn't afraid to make decisions on behalf of her people. She did what had to be done for her people. For one thing, she said, no alcohol and drugs for our council. It was done. She brought in healing workshops, right? So when you lead with that kind of conviction and you stand by your word, you know, you can have an impact on your community. You know, there are other decisions she made. She was on the front lines when all that stuff was going on at Gustafson, you know, and you don't realize it at the time till you realize, wow, what a strong lady, you know, and that's one of our Secwepemc leaders, you know, so as well as the other leaders that were all a part of that, you know. So, you know, I think of, what's Rhonda's mom? Dorothy, you know, she was one of the first chiefs that implemented a HR policy in her community, and then NSTC kind of took took off from there, right? So she wasn't afraid to make changes in her. That was just one thing that always stuck out, and always stuck out with me, how social she was with her guitar at different events, you know, and so, you know, the other one with Antoine, I remember sitting at tables with him. He volunteered to come and sit with us at our health transfer table, and, you know, he spoke to negotiators with on-the-ground community issues. He made sure they knew who he was representing there and the social issues we were facing in our communities and why we were at the table, and I never forgot that. The other one was, thank you, with Rick Gilbert. He was another one that was, a lot of the stuff that I watched with him in leadership sticks with me today, you know. One of the things he didn't like at the treaty was people reading their notes. You know, we've been in this long enough, people should be able to get up there and talk. So that set the bar for me. I better start learning my stuff before I get up here. But I did make notes today because, you know, when you have to do something this important, you know, you sit down and you pray about it and you think about it, right? So I didn't want to miss anything. So when I walked in this morning and I heard Rhonda speak, I'm like, oh gosh, she's saying everything I was going to say. But that's okay, because you know what? I guess it needs to be said again. So, so today we were asked as chiefs to speak about what it is to be Secwepemc. That's our theme. So this exercise has given me time to reflect, you know, but also on that topic, but also on the work that has been done towards the treaty self-government process to date. You know, I was raised in the Haldance community, went to a one-room school until grade 7, then started high school in Williams Lake, but we returned home every weekend. You know, and the distance from the urban center, in thinking about it now, allowed me to be raised with great connection to the land and family. You know, and I was thinking about what it is to be Secwepemc, you know, we all should think about it more, but I started writing things down. You know, number one is our Secwepemc language. I've been told that if we know our language, we will know our culture. We cannot fully understand our Secwepemc culture without the language. The Secwepemc language is the foundation of our identity of being Secwepemc. This language is so comprehensive that if you can speak and understand the language, you will have a full Secwepemc life. The wisdom of all the Creator's teaching for us are in the Secwepemc language. We only need to look at our past and current Secwepemc knowledge keepers in our communities to see the strong, resilient, wise people that they are. These individuals are the greatest supporters of meetings and events that may provide hope for a better future for our communities. Number two is lands. Lands. The land and the Secwepemc language are tied together. Travel with a language speaker, and you will hear the place names and the descriptions of the land in the territory, the descriptions of the weather. So everything is connected with the language. The lands also hold everything that we need to survive, whether it be water, food, medicine, shelters, tools, etc. Number three is family connections. Another huge part of being Secwepemc is the size of our families. And traditionally, these family ties were so valued. You know, that's why, you know, it's important for our family trees. I really want to get that done for my kids and my grandkids. It's so important. And when I look back now, I don't know the names of my great-great-great-grandparents, right? And the information hopefully is out there somewhere, and it will come to light when we're ready to receive it. Food sovereignty. Being Secwepemc is knowing the traditional foods that we gather and hunt today are the same foods that our ancestors ate for their survival. We also travel to the same lands to hunt and gather for our needs. Number five, cultural beliefs and ceremonies. These Secwepemc teachings are our governance laws on how to respect the land, animals, and the people so that everything would remain in a balanced state. Number six, the Secwepemc Nation is the largest nation territory in BC and currently made up of 17 bands. It was pointed out that this was proof that we were a strong, self-governing nation in the past. We all know that some of the original Secwepemc bands are no longer here due to smallpox. This leads us to the 1993 BC treaty process that offered the opportunity for NSTC bands to get out from the DIA government system and become self-governing. The DIA program transfers in the late 1970s, was a step up. At least we didn't have the Indian agent coming out. We weren't totally reliant on him. However, we quickly realized that DIA program transfers only allowed that our chief and council of the day an opportunity to manage poverty, and that was no fun for them. We can hear our stories of some of our early days staff and some of the stuff they had to go through managing the poverty dollars that we got. The treaty process has been long and disappointing on many levels. However, many of us in this room, I believe, keep the hope that at the end of it, we will have a self-government agreement that will make us better off than being wards of the federal government. The NStQ treaty was seen as a lands treaty, and if we look back at the benefit of the early days in the process, we had the traditional use studies of the territory in each of our communities, and I believe that many of our leaders in the room were involved in that TUS work, and they're still working in our stewardship or other departments in the band. That was a real good foundation builder, getting back and understanding and knowing our territories and where our ancestors walked. Today, the communities continue to make land tours as part of the process. That's very important. Our treaty team has also been successful in signing off on ITA lands and recently the ranch acquisitions. Although the Secwepemc language has been identified as a strength for the process, and over the years, a declaration, it was kind of quoted by Robert this morning, was developed by treaty staff and language speakers, and now hangs on the wall of the boardroom of the NStQ building. We do still have a lot of work to do in this area of incorporating our language in the way we do our work. So, although we went down this path with great hopes, the disappointing part of this is that NStQ has been operating with the same funding as we had many years ago. And this process that we're under says that we will get extra funding for creating more staff to effectively run our government in stage 6. We all know this is wrong. We know it's not the way we need to go, and that's what our negotiators are working on today, is how do we fix a system that isn't working for us, and we keep spinning our wheels and burning out the current staff that we have. This is where I need to acknowledge Liz, Chris, Gord, and Hank Sr., who have become the faces and knowledge keepers of the NStQ process, and now Hank Jr., who for 7 years has also rolled up his sleeves to do the difficult work of changing the language of the government when it comes to our self-government agreement. There are many of the other treaty staff that I will not, I don't mean to ignore you, but I don't know everybody's names, but they continue to work hard. It hasn't been an easy process. I'm sure they hear it all the time. We're still in treaty. What are we doing? So one of the challenges I faced in trying to envision self-government was due to the fact that, all I had to relate it to was the provincial and federal government service structure. So it was kind of hard to figure out. But as time goes on and the more I learn, I finally get it. So as I reflected on what made the traditional self-government system work, I recall in one of the community sessions on self-government, and many of you probably remember this, there was a statement made that the self-governance starts in the day-to-day lives of each and every one of us. And I believe this is where our leadership strengths and gifts will begin to develop. Prior to the days of residential schools, children's natural abilities were identified and developed by the parents, elders in the communities. This development of gifts, natural abilities, strengths would be used for the greater good of the family, or organization, or nation. What we have is an organization today. So we know there is no switch going to be turned on, and when we signed a treaty to be self-governing, And it is said we need to behave like we already have self-governing. How do we do this? We are all aware the government did a good job in oppressing Indigenous people with legislation that dismantled the self-government process that were once in place and kept our families and communities strong. Traditionally, everyone had to be self-sustaining as individuals and families to survive. If I look at my own experience growing up in a small community, is that my parents and relatives in the community were always doing something either as a family or a community to make improvements in the community or help each other. As an adult, it seems I fell into roles that involved community service in some form and then eventually became part of the leadership team. In this way, I guess I'm practicing self-governance. My gift to the community, I've come to believe, is to be one of supporter and encourager role. And I will mention our treaty team staff again. I've always thought that their current roles required them to have special gifts of knowledge that enable them to sit at those many meetings with government representatives. That is not a job for everyone. I want to, at this time, encourage each and every one of you in this room to find your place in this process. We cannot leave full responsibility of the treaty to the treaty staff and your chief and councils. How do we find out what our gifts are? Many of you may already know. I had to do some reflection and rule out what my gifts were not. If it was stressing me out, then that is not my calling. So, you know, some of the things that I kind of started doing was many years ago. My son's 18 now, and I used to drag my youngest son to different language meetings. So I started going to language meetings, and that was really helpful, hanging out with the old ladies who were very patient with me. They really didn't think I was going to do it. They told me that at the end of one of my courses. We didn't think you were going to do it, but I did. I struggled, but I got through the basics. You know, the other thing is visit your communities and visit the lands that our ancestors walked on. Maybe enroll in some First Nations university courses. Those are what really helped me get a passion and want to become involved in making changes for future. So to me, this is all. I am Secwepemc, as you all are in this room. Thank you.
Qelmucw, thank you. Thank you very much, Marilyn. Much appreciated. I'm going to try to put this back on, maybe. Oh, yeah, the water. She needed water before her presentation, and of course, she was probably looking at that water, thinking about that water, and but no, she went through the whole thing, and she just did it. So really appreciate your leadership, really appreciate your presentation, and I think it's one of those things that, again, knowledge and as well a sense of community and family. So we're seeing a theme, of course, of the family unites and how it's so important. So with that said, I'm now going to invite Kukpi Helen to come on up. And again, it was referenced about our speakers and our, Secwepemc. And I think it's so important that we hold up our speakers, and because without our speakers, again, it's a big part of our culture and language. So I know you want to just grab the mic, and then please introduce her in the right way.
Kukpi Marilyn Camille. So we three Kukpi the Secwepemc, the Equus is Keskin, Nari Kukpi is Keskinum, Helen Henderson Reed.
Feeling pretty special getting all set up here. Wait, Qelmucw. Kukpi Helen Henderson Wensquast. Hello, everyone. My name is Chief Helen Henderson from Qelmucw First Nation, formerly Canam Lake Band, and I'm happy to be connecting with each and every one of you today. I want to acknowledge the prayer songs this morning by our Qelmucw, Qelmucw. I would like to acknowledge the prayer this morning to start us off in a good way. To Qukpi7 and Williams Lake First Nation, thank you for hosting us and allowing us to do this very important work on your territory. Acknowledge all of Qelmucw here today as well. I'd also want to acknowledge the matriarchs and elders here today. You are the knowledge keepers, and we honor you. I want to acknowledge all the leadership here today, both past and present. Your guidance is needed and respected and sought. To our Qelmucw here today and our Qelmucw, you are our future and have the biggest responsibility to care for the collective into our collective future. This past year has been a sorrowful one for all of our Secwepemc communities. There have been so many deaths and tremendous losses to our families as Northern Secwepemc to Qelmucw. NStQ communities were not excluded, sadly. With this in mind, I want to honor our Qukpi7. Their presence here with us on earth in the physical form has come to an end and is no longer, but they remain with us in spirit and strength. They are with the ancestors, watching over us and rooting for us. For a brief time, Leadership Council considered postponing this event out of respect to the families and their grief and loss. We wanted to transform this event into a healing event. Instead, we recognized that just by coming together, as we did collectively since time immemorial in Lac La Hache and Green Lake, that we can still gather and comfort one another as we receive treaty updates. For myself as Qukpi, I recognize that in order to help the community, I must first take steps for myself in my own healing journey. I continue to seek out land and water-based healing as much as possible. I have special places in each of the territories that I visit. I put my feet on the ground and feel the strength of the Secwepemc Nation. I continue to wash, to release the pain and the tears of losing Qukpi7 after Qukpi7, praying to the ancestors for healing and comfort for all of us. Our territory is our medicine, and I encourage all of you to continue to steward the territory. For myself, I've utilized many parts of the territory, whether I'm driving down the highway, passing Haldance or Skichestin, and stop and drop some medicine and say thank you for the medicine that I'm receiving in that moment. because the pain sometimes is so heavy. It was shared with me through COVID, another time where we were losing our beloved members. That crossover songs were not limited to a few odes during Lahel. When dreamers came forward with messages of Qelmucw, the songs would continue if the relayed information saw Qelmucw was in distress. The crossover songs would continue. This practice carried on until the dreamer reported Qelmucw in a content state. To be Secwepemc, what does this look like today? We have a gathering place here, I am told. Let's fill this gathering space with prayer songs for the grief and loss we're all feeling here today collectively. To be Secwepemc is to be connected to each and every one of you and to be connected to our territory. Straight out of the declaration, to be Secwepemc is to be strong, self-confident, and respectful people who stand up our beliefs and are proud of our heritage. Our rights to the land and to the resources around us have been and continue to be upheld. That's who we are as Secwepemc, stewards and protectors of Secwepemc Ulu. Qelmucw First Nation has had many milestones this past year, sharing with the Northern Secwepemc Qelmucw. As Secwepemc, it's important to us to honor our Qelmucw and hold them up for their contributions to our communities and to the work. Our members were part of this process from the start. Their voices were heard through the implementation of interest papers, discussion papers, and principal papers, all tabled at the negotiation table with the collective voice of our members. Request these, and this will tell you if we're hitting our mark today in this process. Qelmucw First Nation Treaty Department held an honoring, uplifting our working group members, both past and present. Many have crossed over, and the work would not be able to move forward without their contributions. As Secwepemc, it is our collective responsibility to teach and grow. Qelmucw First Nation has taken measures to increase member capacity in all areas. Qelmucw First Nation Treaty hired summer students as an example to increase their technical knowledge in this BC treaty process, but moreover also to increase their connection and capacity in this process as Secwepemc. This past year, we had 2 successful ranch acquisitions. Qelmucw First Nation has acquired 2 ranches as part of the Incremental Treaty Initiative. Certainly a long and frustrating process, but the milestone was finally hit for Qelmucw First Nation and NStQ as well. Qelmucw Ranch is located in what's known as 100 Mile House. And Broken Rock Ranch is located at part of the old Cabbage Patch, what is known as the old Cabbage Patch parcel in Qelmucw First Nation. It is our Secwepemc value to steward the land, and we see many opportunities for capacity growth with these purchases. In the past couple of months, you've seen the start of construction to the Northern Secwepemc Cultural Center. This has been a huge lift for the Northern Secwepemc. And to see the cultural center come to fruition makes my heart proud and happy to be Secwepemc. I share with our neighbors and guests in the territory that we're raising our profile as Secwepemc people, that people need to know who we are and where we live and whose territory they're on in order to address racism, discrimination, all of it. Relationship building is a priority, and the cultural center brings those opportunities, and we're going to be able to showcase our history, our rich culture, which will be located at the 108 Heritage Site, what is known as the 108 Heritage Site. I know we have a traditional name, and I know Elizabeth is the knowledge keeper for Qelmucw First Nation on our territory, language, and all things treaty. My phone went off, just give me a second. We've had to push our opening back, unfortunately, to the cultural center due to some delays. Look for further updates. I believe there's a booth here today. I want to take some time to honor our Qelmucw treaty team members, Elizabeth Pete, who is our corporate knowledge holder and has been here since the beginning of this process, and Melody Henderson. And Melody Henderson, who is the treaty assistant for the treaty office. They continue to put their best foot forward in commitment to Qelmucw First Nation. I worked with Elizabeth and Melody for many years. I was mentored directly by Elizabeth as the treaty coordinator. I was the self-government coordinator for 16 years and worked closely with all or most of the Qelmucw treaty team members. Our governance networking group led the work in governance modeling, lawmaking, and jurisdiction, eligibility and enrollment, and there's one more area, and it's lost on me right now. And it was through that work that I was able to connect to all of NStQ, engage and learn from all of you. Moving forward, new approaches will be had. There's updates coming from the Chief Negotiator interim and the treaty team on what that approach looks like moving forward. We constantly compete with processes outside the treaty process, which the Kukpis have mentioned in their opening. Health jurisdiction, child and family jurisdiction, education jurisdiction. These are all jurisdictional fields that NStQ is pursuing in the treaty. But processes exist outside of it that seemingly have benefit now more than if we wait. So we're really working hard to keep in front of that. Qeskin First Nation, as an example, is in the Bill C-92 process, which NSTC is also involved with Hatsuch First Nation and Qelmucw First Nation. Qeskin First Nation leads in this area with a ratified law called Qelmucw, the law of the valerian plant. This is a true reflection of the hard work of our language speakers, the Kias, Tony and Elsie, and Qukhaidam Ella Gilbert, and our members who lived through the experience of the child welfare system and whose voices are raised through those interest papers and those principal papers. I acknowledge everyone here today. May your hearts be comforted in your time of need. Qelmucw the Kukpi, my counterparts, I ask that you hold space for them in their work. At times it seems daunting and exhausting, but over and over I see them rise up and continue to take those steps forward. And my hands go up to you. I want to acknowledge the leadership staff at the NSDC Tribal Council, the Northern Secwepemc Treaty Society, for all of their commitment and hard work to this process and dedication to helping us achieve true determination, self-determination, and self-governance. Change is not easy, and we find ourselves in tremendous change. And certainly the societies at the center office there isn't exempt from that. There's certainly been some mass turnover that members may have heard about. And I just want to briefly acknowledge that as we think back to who we are as Secwepemc people and where we want to go, how do we align those values with our communities? And I know the work has started, and I know that there will be a presentation tomorrow on governance modeling and how that is going to play out in each of the communities. And that work does involve having conversations about tribal council, which is an advisory service that is funded by ISK. And we're moving away from delegated models as true self-governors. And I know that we've collectively had conversations in our community about what the future holds for the Tribal Council. And this might be a natural pause in the conversation to really reflect on what it means moving forward as it relates to us as Northern Secwepemc to Qelmucw and how we identify ourselves. With that, I'm very happy to see the crowd here today. I feel your presence. I feel your comfort. And I'm grateful for it. Qelmucw.
Yeah, I go to meetings and I say, that's my Kukpi. That's my Kukpi. And no, I really appreciate it. Thank you again for all the wisdom and wise words, not only for yourself and from the community of Qeskin, of which I am from, but as well from the other communities and First Nations and nations of Secwepemc, but as well the Northern Secwepemc to Qelmucw as you come together. I think each of you presented in a way that was not only from a perspective of where you've been, but as well where you want to go and where you are. So I think the leadership has displayed that in their presentations this morning. So again, let's give them one more applause and thank you for doing that. Now we're getting into probably the second most important part of this morning, which is the prizes. And before I get Fran to come up, I'm going to let our language speaker, if he has anything else left to say this morning. But as well, if Fran can make her way on up, just looking at what's up this afternoon. We will be reconvening. It's 45 minutes. Sorry, I couldn't make it 1 hour. I tried. I got overruled, got outvoted. And we're going to reconvene around 12:43. And there will be, in order to get you back, because I've seen it now, I gave you 15 minutes, and I've seen people taking 20, 25, 30 minutes. So I've seen this. This is all, I've got 2 eyeballs. And I've seen it in action. So we're going to have prizes at approximately 12:44. Okay, so and you got to be in attendance. So as they're gathering this, I'll give the language speaker an opportunity to have a few words.
Gedag sa NStQ Kukpi7 temchulicum concludes. Ian me Qelmucw Qelmucw na Elia as prizes as me Qepinum. Seswinjums Qepkinwau in Lachginum Escaluts Robert. Kemisla Ui Peleltman Robert. I just made a joke in Qelmucw that Robert asked me earlier if I was able to translate what he was saying, but Robert is too good at BSing.
Great on. Oh, I love this. And I had a pouch that was given to me as part of this, and he told me all about it. So the pouch, of course, with the sage in there, and the clam or that can hold it. So I'll take this dearly into my heart and use it, of course, in times of need. So Fran, I want you to come on up as the speaker of the prizes, which is probably the most important position at this particular time. I'll let her take over for now.
Thank you, Robert. I'm not chairperson yet, but I have aspirations. So once again, my name is Frances Supernault. My mom is Virginia Gilbert. She's there with her best friend, Mary Alphonse, who I call my mama as well. I saw my brother Len here earlier, and the way we're going to make the draws, you see the prizes here, we're going to make 5 draws. What we're going to do is draw the numbers. We'll write the numbers down, and then once I read the numbers out, you can just take your time and come up and receive your prize. So Jesse's out there asking some of our people, community members, to draw tickets, and she'll be back up here shortly. I have a lot of other family here as well. I was in the treaty process almost from the beginning as well. And then my youngest child is 27, and he's married, and they live out in Soda Creek. And I remember being at the working group meetings and citizens' assemblies like this one, and he would play, he'd have some toys and stuff at my feet under the table, and he would just play there. And that really touches my heart, because all of the information from the working groups and from the citizens' assemblies, he has all of that knowledge in his being now. This is how we raise our children to be leaders. And it doesn't necessarily mean to sit at the Kukpi's table as a Kukpi, or, you know, leaders in our communities happen in so many different ways. Okay. Did you draw? Okay, so we have 6 tickets. 606419. Pink, they're pink tickets. 606419. The next number, 605997. Oh, yay, we have one winner over here. So that number again, I guess I don't need to read it. The next number is 606343. 606343. Oh, there's another winner here. Okay, the next number, 606320. Yeah, just write them down and then as, okay. So that last number was 606320. And then we have 606333. Yay! And then our last number, 606382. Awesome. Come on up.
Might not be the chairperson, but she did a darn pretty good job. Good tootin', good job. So Fran always reminds me, of course, family, and my mom and dad are right here in the front, Pearl and Frank, and I see a whole bunch of cousins, and then my Auntie Margot just walked in and won a prize, you know, like talk about, no, she was there. And then, of course, my Uncle Harold in the back there, he's my go-to guy. So anytime I get in trouble, I always looked at my Uncle Harold. You know what I mean? People who know me, I used to get in a lot of trouble one time. Not anymore, though. I'm not anymore. So anyway, I won't digress. So with that, I see Dawn over there too, making me laugh already, just looking at her. And a lot of friends and colleagues and cousins that I see out there. So it's really good to see everybody come together, as the chiefs have mentioned, the Kukpis. So we're going to be doing a whole different setup, I understand, for this afternoon. I'm going to let you, we're right on schedule. It is now noon time. And I'm going to ask, of course, it's all set up for lunch, I understand, out there. So they go get their lunches, or is that how it's working out? I didn't get the lunch part, but of course we know that the elders are served first. And if we run out of lunches, it's not Toonie Tuesday at KFC, so I don't know what we're gonna do there. You know, it's Wednesday, what is it, Whopper Wednesday? Do we have a Burger King here yet? So I sound like an advertisement thing here, so every time I say Pepsi or Coca-Cola, I get $5. So anyway, I'm just joking. Don't let me continue. Get me off the stage. I think I need something to eat. And of course, those elders first, and those that, of course, are diabetic or anything like that, please go. And you are free to go till 12:45. So go enjoy your 45 minutes. Okay? Enjoy. Cook's Jam. Thank you.